Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, boys. So, welcome to our Chaitanya Caritamrita discussion tonight. So, we'll be discussing the final section of chapter 17 of Madhya Lila. The title of the chapter is The Lord's Travels to Vrindavan. We're very excited. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has finally made it to Vrindavan. So much effort and so much intrigue. Years and years of desires and so-called setbacks, but not really setbacks. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has finally reached Vrindavan. It's very ecstatic and exciting, and hopefully as we read and hear and discuss this, a strong desire develops in our heart to be in Sri Vrindavan. There's no more wonderful and beautiful place than Sri Vrindavan Dham for the practice of devotional service. And so we pray that by hearing these pastimes we'll become so inspired that we'll, just before the end of this class even, just start running to Sri Vrindavan Dham. But rest assured, to be in Vrindavan Dham, one does not need to physically be in, but in mind and heart and desire. And by the unlimited mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he has actually brought Sri Vrindavan Dham to all of us. The ultimate mercy. As Gadadhar Pandit told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wherever you are, Sri Vrindavan Dham is there. Why do you need to go? And that Srila Prabhupada comments that it is true. Wherever there is Krishna Kirtana going, wherever the Supreme Lord is the center of all activities, that is Sri Vrindavan Dham. And wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most holy place of Vrindavan Dham. And we know in our Devasiddhana Mandir, Srila Prabhupada personally brought Shri Shri Gaur Nitai to us so that we may serve him. And in that mood, be in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So we are very fortunate. And hopefully, by reading this, we'll develop a strong desire. Our acharyas comment that the intensity of our desire to be in Sri Vrindavan Dham, to live in the holy dhams, is one of the measures of our progress in devotional service. So we'll discuss today why, what is so potent. And I know some of you have been to Sri Vrindavan Dham, and for those who have not, our thirst for that hopefully will increase many, many more times hearing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels to Vrindavan. So last week we discussed the service of Sri Balabhadra Bhattacharya and how he was rendering amazing service, using his intelligence to carry extra grains in case they did not run into grains in the forest, making the travel of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the dense jungle because the main roads were not available to him to avoid the big crowds, but made his journey so sweet and so easy. And it was done by the very intelligent and very empathetic service of Balabhadra Bhattacharya. He was anticipating and thinking what could be needed in service and in doing, above and beyond the call of duty. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not have asked for anything, but Balabhadra Bhattacharya did not rely on went above and beyond, you can say, to render service. And it was a very wonderful mood. And that service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appreciated so much. He embraced Balabhadra Bhattacharya and expressed his gratitude for making his journey and making him so happy. And you can see the result of that. And Balabhadra Bhattacharya's response to that glorification by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was utmost humility. And he said that it is you, Krishna, alone that can make a lame man cross mountains, that can make a dumb person speak. So whatever I've done in service is only your doing. And like that, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, in great humility, deflected that praise. But certainly we can learn a lot from his very detailed mood of service. And then we discussed this Mayavadi philosophy. That was the second major topic as they had reached Kashi, and Prakashananda Saraswati was blaspheming Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and calling him a magician and a madman and sentimentalist and so many bad things. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was explaining, and Srila Prabhupada was commenting in the purport about the very dangerous and fallen position of the Mayavadi philosopher who denies the existence of Krishna as a person. It is the greatest of atheists because they deny the position of the Lord to satisfy their desire to try to become God. And it is the most fallen of conditions. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he was fearful to associate with such persons. Not, I try to avoid it. He uses the word bhaya, fearful to associate. Because, why? Sarvanasha. Everything can become spoiled. Just like a small drop of poison in a whole wonderful pot of sweet rice will spoil the whole pot. A small drop of that association can spoil everything. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed his great disposition. But he also was very respectful. Right? He did not say, "No way will I come and see you." No, he said, "I am previously engaged, I'm sorry." So he's also very respectful, but very cautious. And it's a great instruction for us. And so we discussed that last time. So today, I thought we could discuss a little bit about Vrindavan, since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is reaching Vrindavan. And we'll discuss a little bit about this devotee behavior, this great devotee that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets in Mathura, in the temple, and becomes very ecstatic with his interactions with him. And there's a very nice exchange. And so we'll discuss some of those verses very, very sweetly that take place in this meeting of this Brahmana after going to the temple just in Mathura at the Janmashthan, the appearance place of Lord Krishna. So we'll read verse 155 and we'll read 193. So we'll read 155 does not have a purport, so we'll read the purport to 193. So 155 is Mathura nikate yaila Mathura dekhiyam dandavadhana pade prema vishtahana. When he approached Mathura and saw the city, he immediately fell to the ground and offered obeisances with great ecstatic love. And then we'll read verse 193. So we're going to skip around a little bit today and do a little bouncing. So 193, I'll just read the translation in the interest of time. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the different forests, including Madhuvan, Talavan, Kumudvan, and Bahulavan. Wherever he went, he took his bath with great ecstatic love. The word Van means forest. Vrindavan is a name given to the forest where Srimati Vrindadevi, Tulsi Devi, grows profusely. Actually, it is not a forest as we ordinarily consider a forest, but it is very thick with green vegetation. There are 12 such vans in Vrindavan. Some are located on the western side of Yamuna, and others are on the eastern side. The forests situated on the eastern side are Bhadravan, Bilavan, Lahunavan, Bandiravan, and Mahavan. On the western side are Madhuvan, Talavan, Kumudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Khandiravan, and Vrindavan. There are 12 forests of the Vrindavan area. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadambayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shrita Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunattam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhalvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this 155 verse that we saw is very instructive for us. We see that what was the first thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? He offered obeisances. Now, how many of us have entered a great city and offered obeisances? You go to Paris, you go to London, you go to some place. Anyone has offered obeisances? No. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing us by his actions again the great mood. When we have the opportunity to go to Vrindavan, I remember the very first time I went. I was a young child. It was in the 80s, and we reached very late at night in a taxi, and we reached the Krishna Balaram temple and getting to the guest house, and we exited the taxi, and my mother said, "Offer obeisances," and I was like, "What?" And I was not comfortable in the street offering my obeisances, but and my mother and father quickly just jumped out and offered their obeisances, and I was looking around for a clean place to offer my obeisances, and like that with great trepidation. And then I remembered many years later reading this specific verse. I thought, oh, wow, what a great fortune it is to have read that. My parents must have read that and understood how to receive Sri Vrindavan Dham. It sets in our mood the extraordinary fortune one has and the extraordinary potency of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So what is so special about Vrindavan Dham? So in Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami, at the end of the Nectar of Instruction, is explaining the different places in which one can perform devotional service. And he gives a kind of like a hierarchy, what is greater and greater and greater. And he says, greater than the whole of the material world is Vaikuntha. Because in Vaikuntha is a spiritual world. It is free of all miseries. Then he says, though, greater than even Vaikuntha is the Mathura district within the earthly planet. Oh, wait a minute. Here within the material world, Bhur Loka, this Mathura district is higher than even Vaikuntha Loka. And then Rupa Goswami says, even higher, more special than Mathura, the whole land of Mathura, here are the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Those are the most special of all places. And then he goes on to say, within all of the 12 forests of Vrindavan, Govardhan is the most potent. And within Govardhan, the most potent is Radhakund. But this Vrindavan forest is so potent and so powerful. It is higher than even Vaikuntha Loka. Now why? How that can be? Because very important that this Vrindavan is non-different than Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world. This is the eternal abode of Krishna. They are non-different. And Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, is non-different from Krishna himself. So, before stepping foot into Vrindavan, we are offering obeisances to Krishna. Because his holy Dham is non-different from himself. And it is so auspicious for us to even have an opportunity, and we'll speak in a few minutes, about how rare it is and how one gets the fortune and ability to enter Vrindavan Dham. But Sri Vrindavan Dham is the eternal abode of Krishna. And so why it is superior to Vaikuntha Loka? Because Krishna has stepped foot in Vrindavan. In Vaikuntha Loka, Krishna does not enter. Only in his mood of Narayan, Lord Vishnu. But Krishna in Mathura has traversed all the areas with his bare feet. And so his footprints are still there. We may not see them materially, but spiritually, they are still present. And these footprints that Krishna made all over Vrindavan Dham were so precious and are so precious that even when the wind blows, they are very careful not to move any sand into the footprint of Krishna. When any cows or animals are walking, when Krishna would graze all of the cows, 900,000 of Nanda Baba's cows, that's 3.6 million feet. None of them would step over Krishna's footprints. So precious. His footprints are eternally embedded all over Sri Vrindavan Dham. And so when we go and we offer our obeisances, we are offering our obeisances directly to the most holy of places, non-different from Krishna himself, and where he stepped his lotus feet, and where those footprints are still manifest. But Vrindavan, if we have gone, maybe we haven't felt that. I didn't see Krishna's lotus feet, footsteps everywhere. I didn't see these 12 forests. I saw giant scrapers. Maybe I saw some rickshaws. Maybe I saw some pollution. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says, one does not see Vrindavan Dham with their eyes. They see Vrindavan Dham with their ears. When you see Vrindavan with your ears, then you will feel the potency of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So sweet and blissful it is. Such a powerful place. You go and you chant your rounds, and it's as if they're just flowing off your tongue. And there's so much spiritual energy is there. This seeing is very important. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was once giving a class, and he noted that one of his disciples was not present in his class. And later on, he saw that disciple, and he asked, "You were not in class?" And the disciple said, yes, I want to go take darshan of some temple, some very wonderful deities. And Bhakti Siddhanta says, he asked, so how was your eyelid exercise? And the disciple was confused. Huh? He says, all you got from that was some exercise of your eyelids. You do not see Vrindavan with your eyes. You see them with your ears. So if you really want to experience Shri Vrindavan, you go and you hear Krishna Katha from the mouths of a pure devotee of the Lord. Then you will experience this bliss that manifests. The same ecstatic symptoms Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is exhibiting, one can experience if they observe Shri Vrindavan Dham as it is to be understood. Otherwise, we may just see, some construction and some, tall buildings, old buildings. We won't see Shri Vrindavan Dham as it is. So in verse 193, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And he speaks about Sri Vrindadevi. So I thought we could speak a little bit about Vrindadevi, because we may not know it, or maybe we know it. It's always nice to read here. Actually, it is by the mercy of Sri Vrindadevi that we can enter Vrindavan Dham. And Srila Prabhupada established as part of this morning worship the worship of Srimati Tulsi Maharani. As Rupa Goswami Nectar Devotion has given the 5 most potent anglas of devotional service. One of them is to worship the devotee. And so Srila Prabhupada established in our Mangalarti program to worship Vrindadevi. So we'll see at the end of this section of our discussion why so much importance. So who is Vrindadevi? She is an eternal associate of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. She is an expansion from Srimati Radharani, and eternally residing in Goloka Vrindavan. And her, Vrindadevi's personal expansion is Tulasi Devi, who resides in the Vaikuntha Lokas as well as manifested here. So Vrindadevi is the embodiment of the Lila Shakti, the pastime potency. She is the pastime potency personified. So she has a very important service in Goloka Vrindavan. She organizes all of the transcendental pastimes between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Everything in Goloka Vrindavan is animate, has life to it, and for the pleasure of Krishna, Vrindadevi assists in making all of this happen. She has many associates who help her. You may have seen the 2 parrots, beautiful parrots who are going and passing messages. Krishna is coming and Radharani is coming and this and that. Those 2 parrots are observing from the bird's eye view how everything is happening. And like this, Vrindadevi has many assistants. And she controls, the movement of the wind and the clouds, the trees. Everything is working under her coordination for the pleasure of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So, knowing that Krishna was going to descend to this earthly planet, Vrindadevi went and appeared in this material world millions of years before. And she appeared the daughter of a very wonderful king. And she performed intense austerities and penances for 60,000 years. And very pleased by these penances, the Supreme Lord gave the benediction that any austerities performed here is very potent. And thus Vrindadevi sanctified this great land, and the land became known as Vrindavan. So Vrindavan, it is named after Vrindadevi. And again, she later descended here as Tulasi Devi, the daughter of another great king, and performed great pastimes and penances here. So it is the blessings of Sri Vrindadevi who manifested this beautiful potency of Vrindavan Dham. And of course, Vrindavan descends from the spiritual world. So the whole of Vrindavan is under the control of Vrinda Devi. Without her mercy, it is not possible to understand or enter the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, to even see them. Even being allowed into Vrindavan is by the mercy of Vrinda Devi. So it is said that one who has been able to enter Vrindavan has directly received the mercy of Vrinda Devi. And of course, Vrinda Devi is another expansion of Srimati Radharani, who is always trying to stamp our visas. You may have a visa and a plane ticket to go to India, but you still need the visa of Srimati Radharani and Vrinda Devi to enter Vrindavan Dham. So when Krishna appeared here and performed his many pastimes, Vrinda Devi was also there. She appeared as a young gopi and a friend of Srimati Radharani. And under the instructions of Purnamasi, she would arrange all the very transcendental meetings of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. And she would arrange the different kunjas, make very beautiful flowers and little areas in the forest, very beautiful gardens. She would arrange for musicians and flowers and music and fruits and every tiny little arrangement she would do and carry out with great enthusiasm to enhance the meeting between Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And Srimati Radharani was so pleased by Vrinda Devi's service that she also once arranged for the transcendental marriage between Krishna and Vrinda Devi, arranged on a beautiful throne, and Lalita Devi was being the priest. A very, very sweet pastime. And Vrinda Devi also reciprocated with Srimati Radharani and offered all the forest of Vrindavan to Srimati Radharani. And thus she is known as Vrindavaneshwari, the queen of Vrindavan. So Vrinda Devi is very, very sweet. And so if we see now, every day we are chanting these prayers, right? Namo Tulasi Krishnaya Prayasi Namo Namaha, right? And we chant these different prayers, but what are we chanting? When we chant these prayers, what are we chanting? So I wanted to recite the translations. We all know the Sanskrit, we sing it every day. But what are we chanting? So we chant, O Tulasi, beloved of Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire is to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. So we are praying to Tulsi. My desire is to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. And then go down. Whoever takes shelter of you has their wishes fulfilled. Bestowing your mercy upon them, what do? You make them a resident of Vrindavan. How many of us want to be a resident of Vrindavan? Yes. It is by the mercy of Srimati Vrindavan. She has, whoever takes shelter of you has their wishes fulfilled, making them a resident of Vrindavan. Then, the prayer continues, my desire is that you grant me a residence in the pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Why? Because then in my vision I'll always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So why do we want to go to Sri Vrindavan Dham? To assist in the service and the pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. Then Krishnadas, the author of this beautiful prayer, says, I beg you, to make me a follower of the cowherd damsels of Vraja. Note, I beg you to make me a follower. Not I beg you to make me a cowherd damsel. I beg you to make me a follower of the cowherd damsels of Vraja. And then, my favorite line of this whole verse, this whole prayer, please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maidservant, acknowledging it is a privilege to render devotional service. It is a true privilege. And then the prayer ends, may I always swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda. So every day, when we do Tulasi Arti, in our mood should be understanding. We are praying to Srimati Vrinda Devi and Tulsi Maharani to allow us to enter into the sweet pastimes of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So potent. So we know the glories of Vrindavan. Now how to enter? By pleasing Vrinda Devi, Srimati Tulsi Maharani, and of course Srimati Radharani. So just a little bit on the person that is referenced here, and give us the right mood. And if we read and recite these prayers with the understanding of the mood, it really makes those prayers so much more potent. And as I mentioned, entering Vrindavan Dham is the quality we see that is one of the measures when Rupa Goswami gives the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti. One of those symptoms is a strong desire to be in Vrindavan Dham, the holy Dham. So we can try to manifest in our heart, in our mood, also a strong desire to experience the very sweet and blissful pastimes. If we have some time at the end, we'll read some of the verses of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic experience and symptoms in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So the second topic I wanted to discuss a little bit was this very sweet exchange between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and this Brahmana. Now, this Brahmana performed nice service in Lord Kesava's temple. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and was singing and dancing, he was struck by the very sweet nature. And so in verse 165, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You are an elderly Brahmana. You are sincere. You are advanced in spiritual life. Wherefrom have you gotten this transcendental opulence of ecstatic love for Krishna?" So what's interesting in this verse is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has not yet had any intimate conversation with this Brahmana, has not yet understood who this Brahmana is. But what he observed was the behavior of this Brahmana. And by the behavior of that Brahmana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was able to ascertain that this is some high first-class devotee who has gotten transcendental opulence of ecstatic love for Krishna. So it was the behavior that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu noted. Right? When they were singing and dancing in ecstasy, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took him to the side, and the Brahmana is offering obeisances. And then the Brahmana replies, where did he get this ability? Very sweet. The Brahmana, this verse 166, the Brahmana replied, His Holiness Sri Madhavendra Puri came to the city of Mathura while he was on tour. While at Mathura, Shripada Madhavendra Puri visited my house and accepted me as my disciple. He even took lunch at my home. So this Brahmana said, whatever you are seeing sweet in me is only by the mercy of my Guru. The Brahmana did not think, oh, I am serving Lord Keshava so nicely. I have chanted my rounds sincerely for years on end. I have studied this, that's why I've got this opulence. He says simply, while on tour, Madhavendra Puri took lunch at my house and accepted me as his disciple. This is the mood when one acquires anything in spiritual life. It is only by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And so a very nice exchange. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replies that, you are on a platform, my spiritual master, because of course Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a disciple of one of Madhavendra Puri's disciples. So this Brahmana was like his Guru's godbrother. So in our spiritual language, we say spiritual uncle. Guru is spiritual father, so it's like a spiritual uncle. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, offering obeisances to him. And this Brahmana says, no, don't offer obeisances to me. And he offers obeisances back. And like this, this Brahmana then requests Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to, take prasad in his home. But he asks Balabhadra Bhattacharya to cook for him. And Srila Prabhupada then goes into some very elaborate discussions here. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining that, what the Brahmana says is that, it is not good that you take from me because I'm a lower caste person. You are a sannyasi, and I am of a lower Vaishya, class, a Brahmana serving some lower Vaishyas, we can say. So it is not appropriate. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied in verse 177, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri has already taken lunch at your place, therefore you may cook and give me food. That is my instruction. So sweet. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, nonsense. I don't look at superficial designations. It is based on the quality of one's heart, the purity of one's heart that defines one's position in devotional service. No external circumstance has any relevance. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not hung up in these rituals. And the Brahmana actually then spoke in great humility. He said that if you take lunch at my house, people will criticize you, and I cannot tolerate that. Think if someone wanted to come to our home like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lunch, we would do whatever it took. Yes, yes. But this Brahmana did not want to bring even the slightest tinge of bad name or hearing somebody criticize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he took a humble position. He could not say, yes, I'm qualified. Madhavendra Puri is eating at my house. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can. No, he remained humble. And that is the quality that attracted again Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's attention. How many times are we seeing in Chaitanya Caritamrita? Over and over and over again. That this mood of humility is the attractive potency, the attractive principle to Krishna, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Guru. Always, over and over again, be most humble. Receive the greatest benedictions and love. Sometimes they go, if I'm humble, everybody tramples over me and gets ahead of me. No. They are the recipients of Krishna's supreme love. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks and says, no, nonsense. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after hearing that, the Brahmana said, foolish people will blaspheme you, but I shall not tolerate the words of such mischievous people. He's saying, if you eat, foolish people will blaspheme you. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then says a couple of very powerful verses. This is verse 184 and 185. And he says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, the Vedas, Puranas, great learned sages are not always in agreement with one another. Consequently, there are different religious principles. And the purport here in this verse, we won't go into it in so much detail just in the interest of time. But Srila Prabhupada talks about the absolute truth. Until one comes to the absolute truth, we are all, comparing relative. What is better, BMW or Mercedes? Rolex or Breitling? This or that? We are always in, and there's always discussions. And even within religious realms, there are different religious principles, and this is better and that's better. Until one comes to the absolute truth. Once you reach the absolute truth, it is fully satisfying. And there is nothing else to be searched for. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying that people will speak, but they don't understand the ultimate principles. So in the next verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, and then Srila Prabhupada writes a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 page purport. Probably something important in here, huh? 5.5 page purport. Prabhupada's purports in Chaitanya Caritamrita are known, they're a little bit short, not so deep as we see in Srimad Bhagavatam. But this purport is very strong. And the verse reads, a devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Madhavendra Puri Goswami is the essence of such religious principles. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, if Madhavendra Puri has taken lunch in your home, it doesn't matter what other Shastras have said, because a pure devotee would never go against Shastra. But it is the behavior of the pure devotee that establishes the real purpose of these religious principles. Very powerful and powerful statement. Again, a devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, because the pure devotee Madhavendra Puri has done so, there's no need to question anything else. And Srila Prabhupada speaks about, in the purport for many pages, about this topic of Mahajan. And why? Because in society, we designate so many people as Mahajans. And the Mahajans, and Prabhupada talks about in scientific endeavors, in karmic endeavors, even in different religious sect endeavors. But he defines at the beginning of this purport, quoting from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that a sadhu, an honest man, is called a Mahajan. So a Mahajan is the honest man. And as long as one is succumbing to material desires, stealing the property of Krishna, or filled with fruitive desires, one cannot be said to be truly honest. Honesty is acknowledging, I am servant of Krishna. So the true Mahajan is one who is the eternal servant of Krishna. That is the Mahajan. There are some beautiful comments here that Srila Prabhupada makes in the top of page 105. He quotes this very strong statement from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 23rd chapter, 56th verse. He says, anyone whose work is not meant for elevating to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, must be considered dead, although he is breathing. It's a very strong statement. What it means is, unless one comes to devotional service, there is no real purpose to our activities. So the only Mahajan is the great devotee. So 2 paragraphs later, I just wanted to comment on a couple of things here. So I'll read just a little bit of the paragraph that Prabhupada writes. Narottam Das Thakur says, Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya Chitite Koriya Aikya. One should accept as one's guide the words of sadhus, the Shastra, and the Guru. A sadhu is a great personality like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Shastras are the injunctions to reveal scriptures, and the Guru, or spiritual master, is the one who confirms the scriptural injunctions. Accepting the guidance of these three is the actual way of living the great personalities, Mahajans, for real advancement of life. A man covered by illusion cannot understand the proper way. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Dharma stapana hetu sadhuda vyavaraha. The behavior of a devotee is the criterion for all other behavior. Very nice statement that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes. The behavior of a devotee is the criterion for all other behavior. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed these principles, these behaviors of the devotee, and taught them to all of us. And so the behavior of a devotee, as in this verse Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, establishes the true religious principles. And so what are the behaviors of the devotee? So the Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya. The devotee is following the sadhus, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They understand and study the Shastras, the revealed injunctions. And they receive the specifics who confirms these injunctions by the Guru. Guru Sadhu Shastra. And that is the behavior. That is the ultimate of all. We see so many different behaviors out there. And what is the principles? So later in Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami summarizes the 26 qualities of a devotee. And this is in the 22nd chapter of Madhya Lila, verse number 78. And here we see many of the principles of the devotional qualities. Devotees are always kind, they're humble, truthful, and equal, and faultless, and performing welfare work for everyone. And they do not succumb to lust, anger, and greed. They eat only as much as required, and are never inebriated, and they're very respectful, compassionate, without false prestige, very expert. And so we have these very beautiful qualities of the pure devotee. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself describes in chapter 12 some qualities at the end of chapter 12, verses 13 through 20. And I just want to read one of them to give us a glimpse of what Krishna says himself are these behaviors. He says, one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on MP, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So sweet. Krishna is saying, who is very dear to him? And he goes on for several verses and explains all these beautiful qualities of devotional service. So, our understanding of this devotional service is exhibited through our behaviors. We can hear and read, but to the degree it transforms our activities, our actions, our words, then it has potency. So our progress in devotional service, we should see by the activities, the behavior. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, what drew him to this Brahmana? It wasn't his badge. He didn't have, I am a disciple of Madhavendra Puri hanging on his bead bag. It was his behavior. And then he asked, where you got this from? And of course, what is the behavior of the devotee? Humble. And said, from Guru. So this very sweet section instructs us about the importance of devotee behavior. Of course, there's not enough time, but we could speak about each of these 26 qualities. And if you want to understand these 26 qualities in detail, in perfection, just do one thing. Observe and study the life of Srila Prabhupada. If you see the life of Srila Prabhupada, you will see each and every one of these 26 qualities vividly displayed right before our eyes. And that is the great fortune of studying the life of Srila Prabhupada, because we see in practice these 26 qualities. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has demonstrated these 26 qualities in perfection as well. So by studying Chaitanya Caritamrita, we get a representation there, and we get one immediately in front of us with Srila Prabhupada. So in that way, we can observe these wonderful qualities. So I'll just conclude by just a couple of nice verses at the end of this chapter 17. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enters Vrindavan, there is ecstasy everywhere. Right? The deers are licking Krishna, the cowherds, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is walking through the forest, all the cows are racing to him and they are licking him and enjoying. Krishna has come. And Krishna is Gol Brahmanya. He's the protector of the goat, the cows. It's a very sweet exchanges are happening. The cowherd men are struggling to contain their herds of cows. They're so attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the bumblebees and the birds and the parrots and cuckoos are all singing, seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come and walk through the various places of Sri Vrindavan Dham. And then I love the verse 201 and 202. The tree branches and creepers, overloaded with fruits and flowers, fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and greeted him with various presentations as if they were friends. The trees were bowing down to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as when Krishna and Balaram are walking in the forest and Krishna says, "Look, Balaram, these trees being very heavy with fruits are bowing down to you, offering obeisances." The same symptoms are manifest here. And talk about the moving and non-moving living entities were all jubilant to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were so excited to see the Supreme Lord in his holy abode, and very ecstatic ecstasy. And in one of the final verses of this chapter, it reads that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's the Lord's ecstatic love increased 1,000 times when he visited Mathura, but it increased 100,000 times when he wandered in the forests of Vrindavan. So such a potent place where all of Krishna's very intimate pastimes took place, and we can, by reading this, develop a strong desire to visit Sri Vrindavan Dham, to visit the place that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now traveling. And of course, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have our manifestation of Vrindavan Dham at 383 Lennox, just down the street. But we can also dream and desire to visit Vrindavan. And those of you who have visited once, you know your only desire is one more time. How many of you have visited Vrindavan and you have one lamentation? I didn't have enough time. Trust me, you may go 100 times, you'll still feel that way. It is so sweet and never-ending bliss. But we must see Vrindavan, not with our eyes, but see Vrindavan with our ears. Then we will experience the beauty of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Any comments or questions? Anyone's own experience in Vrindavan Dham they would like to share, or any other realizations, please? We can have some discussion.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Dhanavad.
Very excellent class. Anmol came and was asking me some question, and she had to repeat the question 4 times before she could bring me out from what does this mean. Very accurate. And it did bring back memories of my only visit to Vrindavan. And I recall telling it to Mataji when I was there that, I'm realizing what a great place this is, only when I'm leaving now. While I was there, I personally, I was just new to everything, so maybe I did not appreciate consciously, but unconsciously I was able to relate, yes, kind of thing. But the full realization of where I was actually happened when, I believe on the day or the last hour when we are about to get to Vrindavan. And I'm like, okay, next time when we come, I'm definitely coming here spending more time. And the response that I received was, okay, if you are going to spend all your time out here, what about Mayapur? What about those other places as well? Those are the places that we want to visit. I was like, okay, so it's not just 2-week vacation now. Now it's going to be a month vacation.
Yes.
Or going over a period of time.
Yes.
The potency out there is phenomenal.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing your realizations. Any other comments or questions, discussion?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
So, this question, so when you say we should see the Vrindavan from our ears, not from eyes, so what does that mean, and then how do
Yeah.
come down to see here.
Yeah. So when we hear about the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, we actually you may be seated in a place, in how we let me speak practically how we go. So when we go to Vrindavan and we go to different places where Krishna performed pastimes, we may not be seeing so much, but when we sit in that place and then we hear what Krishna did and how he performed his pastimes, then that experience just comes to life like no other. And if I remember many times that we've gone to some places in Vrindavan, but then when we go with some great devotee who then explains what happens in the deep nectarian pastimes, it really comes to life. Because with our material eyes, we don't see what Krishna did. So to experience the potency of that place, we hear from the mouths of a pure devotee, based on Shastra, what Krishna did there, and that's what really brings out that mood of Vrindavan Dham. So that's what we mean by hearing. And so when like during Kartik, there is a very beautiful Rajamandal Parikrama, and so we walk, but then we'll go to some place and sit, and there'll be hours of Krishna Katha about all the places to visit. Then we'll go and walk a few more hours and hear more like that. You're going and hearing about all these amazing places. That is what's bringing out the potency of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So that is what we mean by that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
And Prabhu, this is me again. I totally agree. And I would like to thank Narendra Prabhu for that. And now I realize the realization of what the place is and all the sweet pastimes that he related to us or recited to us. I mean, that is what actually drew me to the whole place. I mean, no words are enough. Just a feeling that I got, a very strong feeling. I always thank him. Even during the trip back, I was always thanking him.
Wonderful.
And probably, I think the question brings me that my visit to Vrindavan was not, I personally did not experience. So next time when I'm going there, I want to experience that thing. So just trying to understand how can I experience that
Next time you go, let me know. We'll arrange for you to experience with some wonderful devotees who will take and really show Vrindavan in that way. I know I was just speaking with somebody and I had a chance to see much parts of Vrindavan, and I think even some people on this call will join us. We went with His Holiness Vaishnava Maharaj and just sitting in the dust of Vrindavan in these beautiful tree groves and just narrating pastime after pastime. You just completely lose yourself in just understanding, what it is in there. But if you've gone by yourself, you see what's to see here. What's to see? So it's it's a nice experience, and they're very wonderful devotees in the temple who render great service by taking us to these places and explaining it. So.
thanks to me.
Hare
Thank you.
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
our obeisances, and I also want to share about my experience of going to Vrindavan.
Yes.
So I had my mom gave me Srimad Bhagavatam, and I just kept it in my temple, never read it. And after going to Vrindavan, after coming back, I don't know, I still don't know from where it came, but I started reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So I cannot thank the Vrindavan Dham enough. It brought Srimad Bhagavatam into my life. It was in my life, but I never realized. I was so foolish.
Wow. Yes. Wonderful. Many wonderful miracles like that. So you've experienced it yourself. You know its potency. Thank you for keep praying, it will happen.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kabir Dhammi Ji और your Sri Prabhupada Brahmana. Beautiful class, wonderful way you explained what are the different qualities a devotee must have, and it seems like this list is so long and it's so many wonderful qualities. Just a question, where do we want to start to try to even do anything about it? That was a question. And one of the thoughts which I had when we were reading this morning reading which we have, which is becoming more and more beautiful. This is the verse 228, 229 of this chapter 17. Basically, I was just thinking when we were reading all this, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Krishna himself, coming in the mood of Radharani. Reason why he came, obviously because Krishna knows everything. But one thing which he was still not able to understand is why the devotees love him so much. And he also even mentioned in the past times that you will not understand what I'm going through. So just to base that unending love of the devotees and that's the reason why he came. And now when we see and read this verse, which says that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavan was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Now when he is actually traveling in the Vrindavan forest, his mind is absorbed in great ecstatic love day and night. He ate and ate simply out of habit. So this verse is shown that he is so much enjoying this ecstatic love that he's completely, the very name was only ecstatic to him. Now when he's reached the holy ground, he's fully baked, completely immersed in the thoughts of Vrindavan. So much so that eating or sleeping or doing the daily activities are just out of habit for him at this point of time. We go to show somewhere in the middle, even when he's so much in ecstasy, the thorns are pricking him, that he's not even feeling that pain anymore. Then you see how the animals, not only the animals are responding to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, trying to reciprocate their love, you see even the inanimate things too, passing the trees and others. So all that other pieces coming together, I think, just that only making to show, ensuring that beautiful love. That's all.
Very beautiful realizations of, like you're imagining how ecstatic he must have been, and on the devotional qualities. Yes, the list is long, but the process is one. And what is that process? Long list, but one means chanting. Chanting. By good, attentive chanting. These are the natural qualities of the living entity. These are not unnatural or new qualities. These are actually who we are. This is our eternal behavior. The behavior we have today is the conditioned behavior. But the natural behavior is what we see here. So how to bring back our original behavior? Nice, enthusiastic chanting. One doesn't specifically need to endeavor for this quality or that quality. But one should become aware what qualities should be manifesting, but the means to awaken them. So we speak about awakening these qualities, not acquiring them. Acquiring them implies something new. Awakening means it's just dormant in the heart. So when that is there, we can have great confidence that it will happen. It will happen. When? We have good chanting. Attentive, nice chanting. Krishna Guru, if we pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these qualities seem long and far away, but you can make it happen. Please help me experience and acquire these qualities so I may serve you nicely. And of course, he'll make it happen. So that can be our mood in chanting. The more prayerful our chanting is, the more potent it is. If it is more mechanical, still potent, but with a mood of being desiring these qualities, then we have great effect.
Thank you, Babuji. That brings me one question.
Yes.
So, when we talk about attentive chanting, so I don't know, maybe other people also might have felt that. So on some days, you're very much inclined to do more and more.
Mm-hmm.
But on some days, whatever efforts you're putting, it's not coming,
Yeah.
So is it because of our, I thought that it is because of the planet position on my Satoshi. That's why, it says, whatever you do, you try to control your mind.
Yeah.
Even if you try to bend it again, within few seconds it will go there. Or maybe go somewhere else.
Yes.
So on some days, it's really nice. You feel that I want to do maybe 32 hours, not even 16.
Yes.
And you keep doing and you don't realize the timing also. But other days, that's horrible. So I'm unable to understand this.
Yeah. This is why we are in the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti platform. Because we're going to have ups and downs. And so because we are not yet steady, because of our yet purifying state, that is why we follow these principles. The impetus to do our sadhana is Guru and Sadhu and Shastra. So Guru has said I should chant 16 rounds, I'm going to chant. Because my own inspiration, some days I may be very enthusiastic, but other days not. And so that is why, because we are still in the purifying state. So it is very natural. It is not due to planetary systems or other forces, but what it means is that we are coming, just like if you're ever driving in fog, and as you're driving through fog, you get these really dense pieces of fog, and then some are light, and then some are dense, and like that. You're going, but eventually you're making your way towards the end, but it's like that. We are in this foggy situation, our conditioned state, and then sometimes it's a little bit thicker, sometimes a little bit lighter, and we kind of go through but we're making upward progress still while we're going up and down. And soon it will all clear, and then the mood to chant is spontaneous. It's coming from internal impetus. We still do the same activities, but previously the impetus was, okay, a little bit, I need to stay consistent because my own consistency is up and down. So by taking some bows and taking some, outer external impetus, but soon it'll become very natural. But that happens in a more progressed state. So, when you find those days of inspiration, relish them, enjoy them, cherish them. And when you find those times of real difficulty, muscle through them. Just say, no, this is part of my, maturing process. It's natural. Just muscle through it. And that's why we need that external impetus during those times, because the internal impetus will not yet lead us in the right direction. Soon, it'll all become from the internal impetus. So it is natural. It happens. And like I said, when it comes, just muscle through it. And when you have the other time where you're having sweet, enjoy it, relish it, chant the 32 rounds and experience the sweetness, because that will propel you during those difficult times. Okay, let me get back to that state. Because it's there, you had a taste of it, and it'll come back. So that's all. Just keep going. It's going to happen. It's the natural ups and downs on the way up.
Yeah, because sometimes it is very demotivating.
Yes. Don't be demotivated. Be encouraged that you're making great progress because actually if you're not making progress, you would not have those glimpses of real bliss. So that taste is given to us to propel us, to inspire us, to go and grab that. But remember, whatever glimpses we've had, that is the eternal state that is never ending of happiness, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is experiencing here. So just keep going, and you will definitely become, more and more consistent, and those depths of low points will get shallower and shallower. They may be deep initially, but they'll get shallower and shallower, and eventually it'll be full of bliss.
Will it happen totally?
Yes, absolutely, unequivocally. If one follows the process, you follow the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, you take them as your life and soul. Yes, unequivocally, absolutely it will happen. If we follow. And if we don't, unequivocally, absolutely it won't. But yes, you're a sincere, desiring soul, it will happen.
Thank you, Guru.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Actually, this is entirely different topic. Actually, I'm going to ask you. So, what is the difference between fate and karma?
What was the first part? What is the difference between?
What's the difference between fate, fate,
Faith?
fate and karma?
What is the difference between faith and karma?
Yeah.
So,
Fate.
faith.
Fate, F-A-T.
Oh, faith and karma. Okay. So, fate like destiny, right? Something that's kind of destined to happen. So, the activities we do define a certain level of destiny or fate that's going to happen to us. So, based on our past actions, there are certain things that are bound to happen to us. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada would give the example that if you board a plane bound for Miami, now you're going to Miami. That is fixed. You have entered that plane, the plane doors closed, it's got into the air. So now your destiny to Miami is fixed. But what you do on that plane can then create your next. If you strike up a nice conversation with your neighbor, and you strike some good business deal, now from that you're creating a next set of outcomes. But along the same way, if you get into some disturbance with your neighbor, the police will be waiting for you when you land, and they'll take you to a different destination. So along the way, we're taking actions. The karma is creating some consequences, some destiny for us to absorb. But in that experience, we are then crafting the next chapter, the next chapter, the next chapter. But all of that can be changed. Somebody, people ask, can my destiny be changed? Well, because Krishna says, Aham tam sarva papebhyo. He will take our sinful reactions. So if he's going to take our sinful reactions, then by definition, our future's changed. Because those were in the future were coming to me. And now it's gone. So one does not become helpless by the feeling that because of my past karma, certain things are coming to me in the future. Right? We say, I am destined. It is my fate to be a sinner. So I can't change. No. If one surrenders to Krishna, one can change the course, the trajectory of where they are going. Because of Krishna's so supreme mercy by taking those past karmas. So, fate is the outcome, the result that's laid out for our karma. But that fate, again, is created by our own previous actions. And so we don't have anyone else to blame. We can't point the fingers anywhere but here. Now, Again, whatever is done, but we can even undo it by the power of bhakti. Did that answer your question, Mataji?
Yeah, actually, it was so, the action, the results for the faith is also depends on us, no?
The results of that, everything that the results come is based on our actions, based on our karma. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anything else?
Prabhuji, I have another question if anybody else wants to ask.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Rather, one thought and one more question too. One more thought I thought, like we started chapter 18 today, and there it says that, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just about to reach Vrindavan, so Balabhadra Bhattacharya takes him to Prayag, and then they stop over near a village, and there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of ecstasy, he falls down unconscious, and then those Pathan soldiers come, and then they are thinking that his associates are actually trying to take all the money from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they are actually planning to poison him with some datura or something. So they actually imprison their associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when he gets up later and becomes conscious, then he explains the entire thing to them, and then those are released. But the main take-home point here is one of them, they are these Muslim soldiers, right? So one of them, the holy man, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually explaining, even from the Quran, he's explaining the importance of Krishna, about the efficacy of the devotional service to Krishna. And in fact, he is able to, they also dance in ecstasy, and all those Pathan soldiers, they become actually followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The entire village actually, that whole Pathan village, is converted into, not converted in a sense, all of them voluntarily become devotees. So I felt it was such a wonderful example, not only within this Sanatana Dharma, but it's encompassing different religious principles. But my question was, is there any way that we know how we can explain from Quran the efficacy of devotional service to Krishna? Because they just mentioned a sentence out here, they have not really elaborated anything on it.
Well, we know the principle. When we say Sanatana Dharma is not our Sanatana Dharma, or the Sanatana Dharma is universal. Because every living entity, bird, tree, human, brown, black, blue, green, purple, doesn't matter. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And the activity of that person is devotional service. So that is the universal principle. So it doesn't matter what faith you are in from a bona fide religion standpoint. The Sanatana Dharma is universal. It is not sectarian. So specifically within the Quran, and when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to meet Chankazi, he also quotes from the Quran and speaks about how it talks about the eyes of God, the names of Allah, and speaks about chanting the names of the Lord. So those principles are there, explained in the Quran. The practical matter is, and Srila Prabhupada followed this principle, that when one is, following that faith, Srila Prabhupada would not, he would say, go but follow as it is, and continue that process. He would not try to alter their faith or understanding in any way. And that story, like why when Prabhuji is wondering, will it happen to me? It will, absolutely. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's potency that we see here, that even the birds and bees and non-humans were transformed into ecstasy, that potency is not the least bit diminished. We read that couple of weeks ago, where Srila Prabhupada says by chanting the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda, that transformative potency is not the least bit diminished. So whatever we read here of different personalities, human and non-human, being transformed into ecstasy, that same ability is alive today. We may perceive differences, but factually it is not. So that is why we can have great confidence that absolutely it will happen, without a doubt, if we follow the process. Thank you again, Madhuri, for your comment and question.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Actually, Rinki Mataji had asked a question. I don't know if she's there. She can personally ask. She had a question in the group in the morning. So I think Nitya Krishna Mataji knows.
Okay. What was the question? She's not recalling. You can ask me, Mataji. What was it?
Okay. The question she had was, is there any specific reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to come to Vrindavan? Is there a specific reason? Because anything that he does it for a specific reason. Was it to make a particular point, or because he was converting as he was coming, he was converting so many devotees into, so many souls into devotees, and other things were happening. So
he's going to Vrindavan for the many reasons. One, to show us the great importance of going to Vrindavan, to inspire within us the strong desire. He also is going to Vrindavan. He sent Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and will be sending them on his return to establish all the principal places of Sri Vrindavan. Many of the holy places of Vrindavan at this time were actually lost, were not known. And so Rupa and Sanatana Goswami are going to go and, based on Shastra, re-establish all these important places. But some specific places Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself went to establish and discover for the benefit of all of us, specifically Radhakund and Shyamakund. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes personally, and he wants to, of course, experience that extreme mood of devotional service. Right? The love between Krishna's devotees is most extreme in purity and intensity in Vrindavan. And so he's going to also relish that supreme mood of devotional service. So that is why he is going to Vrindavan Dham, to show us the path, to establish some of the very specific and important places of worship for us, and also to experience this mood that we know Srimati Radharani was relishing to no end. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was relishing that mood in the Rath Yatra festival, as we read a few chapters ago. Right? So that is why he is going to.
thank you, Guruji. Thanks so much.
Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Prabhuji. I would like to share my experience of going to Vrindavan, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
It was a wonderful experience I had. My desire to go to Vrindavan started from your class of nectar of instruction. There was a wonderful feeling that that desire was increasing. And Krishna's mercy, it happened last time. So it was so nice, probably. As you said, I felt like it is so wonderful. And it's a different feeling, actually. As you said, probably, the sadhana is very natural there.
Yeah.
There is no extra effort in doing sadhana there. And also, if anybody listens to your class carefully, I think every place we visit there, we remember your class. Like, Prabhuji had told this, Prabhuji had told this. And that was the wonderful feeling I had there. Deep is there, and Prabhupada's cooking. Everything said, Prabhuji, even the pig there, that was looking spiritual. That was not at all looking like the pig. It was looking like, wow, so fortunate it is there.
Yes.
It's really a beautiful place. And I felt like it's a home. I don't know. And we went to Chicago, we went to lots of places. I will not be satisfied. I felt like when I go home, I have a tendency, a sickness. I will not be satisfied. But this was like, oh, why am I going back now? Why not? That time I realized, Prabhuji, the compassion of Prabhupada, because for a devotee, Vrindavan is like $1 billion place. And how Prabhupada, if Prabhupada had been selfish, or like, it is a different thought of how Prabhupada decided to leave Vrindavan at that age to fulfill the order of Guru Maharaj. I was like, oh my God, I could not imagine Prabhupada. Actually, for me, the Prabhupada reveals like the consciousness of Prabhupada. Okay, I felt like, wow, that is beyond material. It's beyond our contemplation, our understanding. I felt that. And also, Prabhuji, the experience there in Vrindavan, even though it is so sweet, I was feeling like it is nothing. Like still there is much to experience. Still there is much to experience, and there is a only thing that is pulling me, like going to Vrindavan. That makes me to watch the video in YouTube of Vrindavan. There are so nice videos from Maharaj and all. It is so nice. Thank you very much. Because of that nectar of instruction class, I still remember that mood, triggering mood, very happy. Thank you very much. So nice. And I have a strict desire to go with you.
Hare Krishna. If you pray, then I have some chance to go. I'll be happy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Thank you very much. Then that's pranam. Wonderful class. Always.
Hare Krishna. We look forward to all going to Vrindavan Dham together. If we pray to Srimati Radharani, we pray to Srimati Vrindadevi, with great sincerity, we can do one trip all together and enjoy Sri Vrindavan Dham. Why it cannot happen? Why it cannot happen? Let's do
Yes,
it.
but the whole group of us, whole Bhakti Viksha group has to go together.
Let's go. Let's go.
Prabhu, in continuation with what Prabhu was mentioning, for me it happened just the other way around. I came back from Vrindavan and the first thing I was doing was attending NOI. And then I went, oh, we went to another one. Oh, we went to that. Oh, did we visit this or did we miss it? No, we did it. And then there was always that connecting the dots. Yes, it is a place like none other. That is for sure.
Yes, so that everyone's sharing their experiences and fuel our desire and let us go as quickly as possible. I am missing also very much in 1.5 years, so let's see how we can make it happen all together, and we'll go and serve Srila Prabhupada in Krishna Balaram Mandir and all the holy places of Vrindavan. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki